I think my feelings and position about using the tarot and forms of divination for health readings has changed. First, what is a health reading? This is when a seeker comes to you for a tarot reading to find out if there is a medical problem with them, and this can bleed into mental health as well. Questions like, what do I need to know about my chronic pain? Or how do I manage my diabetes? Or the seeker is waiting for test results and wants a tarot reading in the interim to find out if it's cancer. Why do I suffer from depression? Why do I constantly suffer from physical health problems? Or it can even be a merge with the ethical implications of third-party readings, such as, is my brother Bob an alcoholic? Or when the seeker is concerned about someone close to him or her having an issue with substance abuse. In my late 20s and early 30s, when I started reading the tarot professionally, the whole don't slide into the unlicensed or unauthorized practice of medicine warning made perfect sense in terms of tarot ethics. Various popular tarot associations and certification programs at the time were drilling into everyone's minds. Don't do health readings, don't do health readings. Health readings are unethical, health readings are unethical. We were being taught that we had to compile a referral list, and whenever someone came to us with a health question, we should decline to do a tarot reading and instead refer them out to a licensed professional. Or in the alternative, rephrase the question so that it wasn't so obviously a health-related question. So instead of what do I need to know about my chronic pain, maybe as a tarot reader, we can rephrase the question and ask the cards, what are the spiritual or karmic implications underlying my chronic pain? Or what can be revealed at this time about my physical health and wellness if the person is waiting on test results for a cancer diagnosis? See, you can actually get really into the woo with this, and that's better in this case. The more woo, the less danger you're in for getting dinged with the unauthorized practice of medicine. So if you do a past life reading for the querent to find out what the spiritual karmic causation might be for some of the physical ailments that plague them right now, that stays pretty clear of the legal definition for the unlicensed or unauthorized practice of medicine. You don't want to give medical advice, like you don't want to tell them modern science sucks, stop seeing your doctor, and instead use this and that essential oil to cure your diabetes. If you do that and you get in trouble, I think you deserve what's coming for you. Also, don't give treatments purporting to heal people of their medical problems. I am very much an energy worker myself, and I use different metaphysical tools and techniques to purportedly clean people's auras or balance their personal energies in such a way that it is, in theory, going to make you feel better. And as long as you're not putting yourself in the position of the expert or saying you are just as good as a licensed medical professional, and you make it explicitly clear you are not a licensed doctor of any kind, then you should be all right. You can give general health and wellness or nutrition advice, the generic general type, what vitamins to take. But what you just don't want to get into is the area of diagnosing problems or prescribing treatments, basically what a doctor would do. So if you steer clear of that and, talk about past lives and karma, you're going to be fine. What I want to address is tarot readers who categorically reject reading about health issues or who get bent out of shape the second someone mentions health and tarot reading. To be an effective tarot reader, and really let's broaden that discussion and include all forms of new age or spiritual healing modalities, you need to keep your finger on the pulse of society and know what the hell is going on with society and how it's evolving. And I believe our society has evolved beyond the relevance of these old-fashioned don't do health readings with the tarot ethics. I don't necessarily want to get into the politics of healthcare in this video, and it's a topic that is of interest to me, so I've proactively kept up to date on this subject area. I could make an hour-long video rant just on my opinions about inequality, access, and healthcare politics, but I'm at a place now in my personal practice and outlook that I do tarot readings and astrology readings on health inquiries. Why? One, not everyone has access to quality healthcare, so even if you try to refer them to a medical doctor, it's not like that's even within the realm of reasonable financial possibilities for them. If you don't help them and empower them, then they don't have any other avenues of support. They might very well resort to that neon sign psychic who does swindle them because you rejected to do a health reading for them and bring them comfort and hold space for them. 2, They have seen all the medical professionals already, but no one is able to fix them and they are still suffering. They're suffering. You are going to turn away someone who is suffering and not even try to use your skill set to tap into what might be the occulted spiritual reasoning for their pain. 3, my main purpose when I do divinatory readings on health questions is to give querents the support that they need so they are more assertive about advocating on behalf of themselves. I'm going to link a video that doesn't have anything to do with the tarot at all. And in fact, John Oliver has made digs at psychics before, or the psychic industry, which by the way, I actually totally agree with him on everything he said in that episode. Anyway, I'm linking something I hope you will watch. In that John Oliver clip I'm linking in the video description box, Wanda Sykes guest appears and talks about having to advocate for yourself when the medical institution is stacked against you. What I can do as a tarot reader is empower a querent to go back to the doctor and advocate on behalf of him or herself. I can say, tell your doctor to run this test, or tell your doctor to take a look at this or that. If I simply turn that prospective querent away on some self-interested grounds that I don't want to deal with that type of question or the ethical implications, and I don't want to fuss about it, and I tell that person, oh, you have to go see a doctor, you can't come to me, this is against my ethical conduct, I think that's a missed opportunity. And finally, 4, why I do health readings, because no one of sound mind is saying the spiritual energy healing divination stuff should replace modern medicine. No one is saying that of sound mind, that is. We're saying let's be holistic and account for both at the same time, and especially if that person does have good access to healthcare, maybe we can give your doctor some hints as to what additional tests to run. I do readings to determine the energetic, karmic, or spirit-related counterpart to the physical suffering you're experiencing. I'll make it abundantly clear that a licensed professional expert at providing modern medical treatments should be taking care of the physical part for you, but I can lend support by using the metaphysical tools and know-how that I have to look into the non-physical, unexplainable part. I work with medical astrology, and I do believe that your birth chart can reveal some of your physiological weaknesses and physiological strengths, your nutritional deficiencies, and with that information, at least you can be a little bit more proactive about your own health and dietary needs. I work with what I know about traditional Chinese medicine to help you consider your diet and food choices. Maybe some foods you should try to eat less of, and of some foods you should try to eat more of. I work with aromatherapy, energy-charged charms and talismans, and both aura cleansing and space clearing, alongside feng shui considerations to help support medical recovery and healing. So why the change? A lot of it is newfound empathy. I was pretty ignorant, or at the very least, naive before. I think we make a very dangerous, mistaken assumption that anyone going to a tarot reader or energy healer for medical questions is an idiot or uneducated, and we kind of get into this space of treating them as such and get a bit condescending, even if we're not conscious of the fact we're being condescending, but we are, especially when we say, oh, that's against my tarot ethics. By saying that, you are implying you're more ethical than the querent. You know that, right? When you tell a querent, you should go see a licensed doctor about this instead of getting a tarot reading, you're almost presuming that he or she didn't know that already, or hasn't already seen a doctor hasn't already seen every doctor, in fact, within a 50-mile radius to try to get a diagnosis. Even when someone has already gotten the lab tests and is waiting for the test results, and in that interim period before the test results come in, has come to you for a tarot reading to see what those test results might be. If you turn that person away, I think you're missing a point. That person is suffering emotionally, and there's a storm of emotions going on that has brought them to your doorstep for a reading. At that moment, you have an opportunity to use your skills and experiences to lend emotional support and spiritual guidance that will help them navigate life until those test results come in, and even after those test results come in. Or you can just be another uncaring, apathetic stranger in this world who doesn't want to get involved because you're afraid of what consequences it might mean for you. You're not actually thinking about the querent or what's in the best interest of the client. You're thinking about yourself. You're thinking, what if I'm wrong? What if this blows up in my face? You're thinking about you. I believe that ultimately much of what we experience in terms of physical and medical health issues is psychosomatic, meaning it originates from the mind and from the emotional plane. I feel like anyone who has read the tarot for a lot of people for any extended period of time realizes that pretty quickly. It's stress, it's depression, it's Three of Swords and Nine of Swords issues that have gone unchecked, unresolved for too long, that now the body says, fine, you don't want to pay attention to me, I'll make you pay attention to me. And then physical pain and symptoms crop up. When a lot of wands or pentacles come up, I think there's something in the environment that's the culprit, and it can be stress induced by work-related issues or financial security-related issues. Lots of major arcana cards, I might say, hey, let's take a look into your past and see what past influences are coming back into play. If you want to say charms and talismans for good health are a form of placebo, I'm not going to debate on that. My position on that is you don't have to believe in that stuff and you don't have to get one. I've personally found in my own subjective experience that if a metaphysical practitioner knows what he or she is doing, then there is a place for magic in healing. I really do believe magic and medicine can mix and mix very harmoniously and supportively in a way that does induce wellness, really does help heal. I really hate the word magic though. Everything that you can see in the physical, that you can experience through your physical senses, especially pain, physical pain, has a non-physical, unseen, occulted counterpart. We can call it spiritual, we can call it psychological, whatever it may be, the two always coexists. The problem with modern medicine is the focus is always on the physical and what can be measured or perceived through physical senses, which necessarily, that's science, it has to be that way, so I'm not criticizing that. Where readers and energy workers come into play is you can shed some light and understanding, some revelation on that non-physical, unseen, occulted counterpart, which might then lead to better discernment of the physical side of things. This is why when a querent is experiencing pain in the feet and legs, and medically licensed doctors keep focusing on the feet and legs, so can't figure out what the problem is, an energy reader, such as a tarot reader, might be able to sense there's a tension or knot of malefic energies in the chest area and your chi energy is not flowing properly over here. This is why your limbs, your arms and legs are so weak. If that querent can then go back to the doctor and pressure the doctor to test out or examine the chest area, the medical professionals can finally discover, oh, hey, look, the patient has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. It was really a chest issue all along, and the chest issue is what caused pain in the limbs. Not too long ago, I experienced a health crisis myself, and I went to see every single type of doctor, my primary care physician, then an allergist, an immunologist, like a neurologist. I went to see every single type of doctor. No one could figure out what was wrong with me, but fortunately, in my case, I was believed because the signs were very physical. You could see it, you couldn't ignore it, but nobody could diagnose what my problem was. And then I went the spiritual route instead to try to figure out what could possibly be the issue. I figured out sort of a underlying root cause from a spiritual vantage point, but I could translate that information into more mundane terms, bring it to my physicians and my doctors that were the specialists that were taking care of me, and then they were able to finally diagnose me and prescribe me what I needed and figure out what the problem was. And then traditional Chinese medicine, changing my diet, really helped sustain and make sure that problem stayed away. So that's why for me this is such an important topic, because it was through that balance of the medical profession and science and the holistic spiritual aspect of it, the psychic health issues, is what ultimately brought my recovery. No dispute, using holistic modalities in the realm of physical health is dicey territory. It makes a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life very, very uncomfortable. It also will make you kind of a target and laughed at. Is there a slippery slope argument to be made that this leads to scheming psychics and tarot readers who will take advantage of the desperate and do more harm than good if we say it's okay for tarot readers and psychics to be doing health readings? Desperate people go to charlatan doctors, desperate people go to charlatan scheming lawyers, and we don't reject and decline or cast out, condemn the entire profession just because of a couple of bad actors. But for some reason, because of our preconceived biases against tarot readers and psychics, we always like to cast away and condemn the entire industry, the entire profession, just because of a couple of the bad actors. There's really nothing we can do about that at this point in time. When, as a tarot reader or spiritualist, you give in to those societal pressures because you don't want to get dinged for whatever, you shut out a prospective seeker and make them feel stupid or ignorant, as if they weren't suffering enough from pain before. Now you kind of, whether you meant to or not, now you are making them feel ignorant, uneducated, and stupid for coming to you for a health question. You're not being compassionate. I just feel like saying to a person like that, oh, go see a doctor, go see a licensed medical professional because this is against my tarot ethics. I feel like that's so demeaning and it's so patronizing. It's assuming, gee, if they hadn't thought of that already, they must be so stupid and so uneducated that they didn't think, yeah, why don't I go see a medical doctor about this? I'm going to go to a tarot reader instead, or I'm going to go get myself a piece of rose quartz and hope for the best. Whatever you may feel about it, a person coming to a tarot reader for a health reading is doing so because they are desperate and they are in a lot of pain, and nobody has been able to help them with that pain. Yes, of course, cover your ass as a professional reader for liability reasons and just state in a written disclaimer that obviously you do not think you're a doctor and what you say cannot replace medical advice from a licensed professional. You are not giving a medical diagnosis and you are not giving medical treatment. You bring to the table a spiritual or metaphysical perspective. That's it. You are a spiritualist who can look at energy, scan energy, detect and discern energy, and do a reading on what might be going on that's otherwise unseeable. Even if you don't believe in any of that, you think that is some crazy woo-woo new age nonsense, and so it's not part of your practice as a professional tarot reader. That's fine. You're still a professional tarot reader because you hold space for people, right? Especially people in pain. Turning someone away, rejecting them, and making them feel rejected, feel like an ass, making them feel foolish, even if you say that that was not your intention because ethics, or the misinterpretation of ethics, that's what I believe. I think that's really mean, and it may be more harmful than good when you do something like that because they've already been rejected or dismissed or not believed by so many other people that are professionals or people who are supposed to be experts. They come to a tarot reader just hoping for some understanding and you reject them too. I also question how much of it has to do with ethics and how much of it is actually because we're self-centered. You're just so worried about you, what you like, what you're comfortable with, what your boundaries are, that you're not paying attention to them and what they're going through and what desperation they are experiencing that has brought them to your doorstep. Okay, admittedly, so here's the thing. Of course, know your own limitations. So if you're coming from a place of, look, I'm not good enough to give a reading about a health issue, or I don't have experience or qualifications to read energy from a health perspective, then yes, obviously, in those instances, yes, refer out to a spiritualist or metaphysical practitioner who might be able to do that. Sometimes I think these individuals with the craziest questions, right, the ones that you roll your eyes about as a tarot reader, the what the fuck questions, are the ones who most need someone like you or me to hold space for them. And if you can't step up to the occasion and do that, then what good are you? Why are you a tarot reader? Why are you an energy worker if you will only pick and choose the easy issues to work with.